All right. Welcome, one and all, to Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I am John, and if you could hit that like and subscribe button, it means a lot to us. And I am here with superstar from the PNW, Scott. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm like your local furniture store that keeps on having they're going out of business sale.
Yes, yes.
Jay kicked me out last week and said this is the end. He is
See ya,
right to a
see ya.
point. He is right to the point. We're gonna have to slow down a little bit because of life right now for me. But you
Yes,
know, woo! Hey, the East is gonna button it up. The West is gonna button up. Stanley Cup, here we come. Man, Florida, Carolina, the Canes
the
against
Canes.
the Oilers and the Stars. Thugs against thugs, talent against talent. I mean, it's all talent, but let's get this
I
straight.
understand. More precision oriented, right? Let's
Yeah,
call it what it is, right?
yeah, yeah. The beat down in Canada. Once again, Canada only has one team that's going to somewhat represent them. I mean, I feel bad. It's
Potentially.
their sport.
Yep.
I mean, I feel bad. It's like the sport. I don't know how far back you got to go in baseball. You can ask Brian this. When was the last time a Canadian team won the MLB?
I want to say
That's
it
an
was
American.
95. I want to say it was the
Wow.
95 Toronto Blue Jays. They won back to back. I think it
Right.
was 95, 94.
Yeah. And
Before the Yankees went on that run. It might have been
yep.
92, 93, something like that.
Yeah.
When America got it back. But let's I don't know if you watch the TNT, but one of the commentators, I don't know the guy's name, okay? I like the
Yeah.
TNT show way better than I like the ESPN show. So,
Yeah.
with that said, one of the players was a former Maple Leaf, okay? And he was like, oh, this is going to be Toronto's day. And then they say, we've had a roller coaster history with this team. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you haven't had a roller coaster history. You have been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and you just been hanging on by your fingernails. Look, you haven't won a title since 67. Don't
Right.
give me this, hey, it's a roller coaster. And I understand it because I was a Red Sox fan and I went 86 effing years without a title. You suck. That's just the
Yeah.
bottom line, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you called it. You called it. I thought after game 3 that Toronto was the better team. I thought they barely lost game 3. I thought, wow. And you said, man, they're going to wear on them. And they had a statistic last night on TNT. They were talking about the defensive men for Toronto, and they were this is before the game, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7 in terms of absorbing hits by the other
Uh-huh.
team. I'm sure after the
Yep.
game it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And
If- you know
and
that
go ahead.
that's after the brain's been hit a few times. Jay's favorite
Yeah,
thing to talk about.
yes. So
That's how you count. One, two, five, six, seven.
I don't know if you watch the game because you actually have a life. I have no life being single.
Oh,
I will tell you something. I've seen a lot of hockey. I haven't seen as much as you. That first 10 minutes of that game was so suffocating that I have never seen anything close to that on a professional level. Toronto couldn't even get the puck past center ice. They
right.
literally had, I think in the first 2 minutes, they literally had two dump-ins, and then it was
Yep.
head back because it's coming.
Yeah. And even the 50-50, like two players going in opposite
Right,
teams, of
right.
like this is a 50-50 chance that either person can get it. They still lost that. You know,
Absolutely.
and, and I don't know because they have this great player, Mershan, the
Mm,
rat.
yes.
I don't know if you ever heard of
Didn't
him.
know.
He came from this other team that had a big old B on their jersey,
Yeah, B. And they
but
got a
he
9 a.m. tee off time. Go ahead,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
but he's a Maple Leaf killer. Like he has like the highest percentage of scoring against them. And he's never lost a game 7 against them.
Yeah,
Like
5-0.
that guy's just like you just put a steak on the plate and let me eat. I'm gonna
Yep.
tear these guys up.
I don't need no
He was
A1.
Yeah, he was forcing the pace so much. It was
Yeah,
insane. And he got, I think he got 2 points and 3 points. It got the empty netter,
yeah.
man.
You
Yeah,
know,
they just
there's
weren't
a
prepared.
there's a Paul Maurice clip, the coach of Florida. I think it's 2 years ago. where one of his players is talking about we need to make a play, and he goes, "No, you don't need to make a play. You dump it in there, and then you destroy them.
Yep.
Basically, just light them up."
Yep.
And that might not be as effective during the regular season, but in the playoffs, that is a monster. If you go 7 games, when you see these
Yeah.
guys,
Well, yeah, you think about every other night you're going against this team, and then eventually, while you know they're going to dump it in and you know you're going to get hurt, it's just like boxing. You start pulling back,
yeah,
anticipating, and then you're cringing, and then you're
yes,
slowing yourself down, and then you're giving yourself more space so you don't get hit. And then
right,
guess what? They get to squeeze that in a little more.
yeah,
That's why that style plays. And like I told you, like Dallas and Colorado. Colorado had kind of the same idea when they went against the Jets and it didn't work. Where Dallas is like, I know you got to come to the front of the net. And that's where
right,
the skill players come in. It's like, so which way is it? Do you hit the beat down, you just beat them down? Or do you just be tactically know that you got to be in front of the net to get it? We'll get it
absolutely,
going around. We'll let it go around the icing line, you know, and we'll play it over here. We're not going to get back there and let you thug us in, and
yeah,
it's that's where different styles of play go. And if you're
sure,
not really into hockey, you don't understand that part of the game. You just see it going around and back and forth and the passing and the hitting and the shots on goal, which is great too, but it's amazing. Once you start breaking down the game
yeah,
and understanding how it works, there's even more layers. It's just like soccer when they
absolutely.
rock the
It's
boat,
like an onion.
everybody's,
It's like an onion. Peel the
yeah.
layers, Scott. Peel the
Yeah,
layers.
peel it off.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
ratatouille, ratatouille.
yes. So I think we both would agree Carolina is an exceptional defensive club. I don't know what
Yeah,
their offensive ability is. What do you like? Who do you like in Carolina, Florida?
I like Florida. I think
Yeah.
the Canes are still 2 years away from making it. Burns is a really great defensive player. He needs to be an attacker. Then San Jose moved him to the defensive end, and he became one of these hybrid, defense guys that can jump in. Still able to do that. Their team is well designed where everybody plays 12 to 16 minutes. They don't have the stud. You know,
Right.
I saw something, jumping back and forth because we're off the rails sports podcast, and
Yeah,
that's
we
what we
are.
do here.
Like and
Like and
subscribe.
subscribe.
There you go,
But
baby.
Dallas is interesting. Just jumping off a little bit is because they were the same style. Everybody had their moment. It was 4 lines deep, 12, 16 minutes. Then they got this stud on their team, Jay's favorite player, 96. Who is he, Jay? Come on.
Radin.
Radinen. And then now they're playing only with 11 forwards, so he can play on two different lines. Ala Edmonton, where you have two great players, you lessen up your forwards so
Right.
you can get these guys more ice time, and then they're getting 25, 30, 28 minutes of ice time, you
Sure.
know? So, but is he slowing down? And that's a question that I don't know. But Carolina, they're sticking to what they know and staying four deep lines, 12 minutes each.
I really
And
wish Carolina had held on to Radin. I honestly hope I wish Colorado would have, and then they traded him to Carolina, who then traded him to Dallas, and Dallas is still playing. I mean, so's
yeah,
Carolina, but
yeah.
that would have
And
been the offensive start.
and I believe Dallas has a coach that said, yeah, we'll give him what he wants, where he wants more ice time and wants to be the star.
Sure.
He
Yeah, and he
wants to be.
deserves it.
He
He's
does.
shown up. He's shown
He
up.
does. Yeah. I
Yep.
mean,
Okay.
Matthews hasn't showed up. He barely made a goal, and then he's still,
So who do
man.
you like in the Edmonton Dallas series, Scott?
I like Edmonton. I think Edmonton's going to just outskill them. They can get a little thuggish and get a little ruthless, and it's just so hard to contain those two guys. And I know every team has two guys supposedly, but
Right.
these
Right.
two guys are just insanely good.
I know two
They're,
guys.
yeah,
Okay. And I
yeah.
eat at five guys. So we got all that. We got all the guys covered.
All
Okay,
right,
Scott?
all
I'm
right,
just
all
telling
right.
you.
Hey,
Okay.
hey, hey. Sometimes we can't pay for everything, okay, Jay?
Yeah. So the thing that really strikes me is Edmonton barely got by the Kings. I mean, they did, but they barely got by. They kicked it up to another gear against Vegas, which I thought was going to be a lot tougher series. I think they're peaking at the right time. They
Yep.
can win this cup. That's all
Yeah.
I'm going to say. I'm going to pick them to beat Dallas. And I'm going to pick Florida, even though I think Carolina is a
Uh-huh.
legitimate threat there.
All right.
All right, let's move
They're
off.
both the legitimate threats. This is the hard part in the finals.
Well,
These
it's
teams
four.
should be
It's the
there.
final
Yeah,
four, right? It's
final.
what it
Yeah.
is, right?
You got the East final, the West final, and then we go up to the Cup, right?
It's final four, Scott. Okay,
Final four.
Frozen four. Frozen
Hey.
four.
I'm
Okay.
just trying not. I just don't want to get everybody mixed up. We talked about March
All
Madness
right.
back in March. Now we're in May. It's a whole different thing.
All right. Let's real quick. I know with your busy life, you're not able
Oh
to
yeah.
do sports, but Scotty Scheffler dominated at the PGA
Woo!
Championship. He reminded, when I see Scotty Scheffler, I see that's my brother Scott. That is
Yeah.
just the smooth swing, bomb, 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 putt, 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 and then just move on. Okay, rinse
Right.
and repeat.
Yep.
That reminds me of
Rinse and
you.
repeat. Yeah. Here, let me ask you a question for the non-golfers.
Okay.
We talked and we said Vegas was in the lead, right?
Hmm.
What was it? Last week? We talked.
Yeah,
We were like
on
Vegas is in the
Thursday,
lead.
on Thursday when
Yeah,
we thought we were saying goodbye to you.
yeah, and we were like, oh, this, that, and the other. He's in the lead. At what point do they wipe the card clean and then they restart? Is it Friday and then Saturday and Sunday are combined, or is it Saturday
No,
by itself? Sunday.
so,
I'm asking
so
for the new golfers so you can
okay,
explain it.
okay. So every round counts on its own, but they make a cut after the first two rounds. They let you play two rounds, and then your total score, if you are typically with the PGA, if you're within the top 63 or within 10 strokes of the lead, they let you play on Saturday and Sunday. There is tournaments on the PGA where they do another cut on Saturday night, but for the most part on the majors, that's what it is. If you're within 10 strokes of the leader or in the top 63 or 62, then you get to play the weekend and then you cash. If you don't get there, if you get cut, you get no money. You came out on your own dime. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next year.
Right,
Hopefully, whatever
right.
that is.
Hopefully,
I
hopefully.
will tell you this, and I talked about it on the other podcast, is you're really seeing the lack of tournament pressure on these live golfers. John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, I know he won the US Open. He is kind of the outlier, but these guys are just terrible. They all fight, they want to be in the majors, and Brooks Koepka, he misses the cut. Dustin Johnson, I don't even know what he's doing. I think he's at clubs at night. I don't know what's going on there. Cam Smith. And look, I don't blame them for taking the 100, 150, $200 million, but I'm just saying there are substandard in the major community. Really, they don't even have a leg to stand on, and we need a path to get in there. No, you don't. Quit playing 54-hole tournaments. Quit the rock music going on, and quit the team bullshit, and just figure out how to figure out your game. That's what happened to John Rahm. I tell you, if John Rahm was on the PGA Tour, he would have won yesterday. He would have been used to
Yeah,
making those 6-foot putts that mattered to him, but he doesn't. He doesn't have to worry
yeah.
about it. And I'm not gonna issue a warning, but Phil Mickelson, the head of the Saudi wealth fund, wants you to come to a consulate. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, hey, we're out here. We're off the rails. All right, let's also
All right,
talk
but
real quick.
so
Go ahead.
let's finish this up. So Saturday, so they made the cut.
Yeah.
Saturday,
Mhm.
it starts. They start with a whole new card, right?
No, no, they still have their scores from the first two rounds,
Okay,
but now they've made the cut. Now like for instance, Jonathan Vegas was the leader. I think he was at 8 under. I think
right.
after the first two rounds, and then
Yes.
he had a couple over on Saturday and a couple over on Sunday. He finished farther down the chart. I think he finished
Yeah.
at even par or something like that.
So
Right?
it's all four games that they played that
Yeah.
makes the
All four
champion.
rounds are your aggregate total. Right? So
Right.
if you're
So
2 under each round, you're at the final score. You're at 8 under after 4 rounds. Right? There
right.
you go.
Okay. So that just shows you how much Scotty made up on this guy in the next
Oh,
two
no doubt.
days.
And
You know what I mean?
that's the cruel part of the game is Bryson DeChambeau literally lost the tournament on Saturday afternoon when he hit the ball in the water. That's where I
Yeah.
live. I literally have a scuba suit in my golf bag so I can go get the golf balls. I'm not like you, Scott. You know, you get that vitamin water. All right.
All right.
Journalism won the Preakness. I will say this.
Woo!
that was a hell of a run. I mean, I that was bumping and it was like me on the dance floor, Scott. It was bumping and grinding and whatever, and somehow you pulled through. I will tell you, I thought I was watching the race and I said, man, this horse is just snake bitten. It gets boxed in, nothing goes for it. That is the ride we were thinking was going to happen at the Derby. I
Yeah,
don't know if you saw it.
yeah, wide open. He made around that turn, and then it was wide open, and he was just on I
It was
five
gone.
going through the grapevine, just squeezing, going. You know, a little side note: Sandman that came in three. That was my exacta. Sandman in journalism
Of
missed it,
course,
but
yes.
Sandman, I believe, is owned by the Florida Panthers owner. I believe
No
they own that
kidding.
horse. Yes, I believe
Okay.
they yeah.
What a
So
shock! A billionaire owns a horse.
yeah, yeah.
That's.
Hey,
Hey,
hey, we
we're
got.
breaking news here. Yeah.
Hey, we got to have a little tax write off. Let's buy a horse.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
And let us go into. You are excellent at everything, but where you really excel is the motorsports. Tell me what you thought of NASCAR's All Star Weekend.
it was fun. It was fun for me to watch. There's a lot of battling. That track is not designed for three wide. They were going three wide. They were bumping and getting at it. Two tires made a change, made a difference. Bell got around Joey Logano,
Yeah.
But I mean, I before I even took off, I said Logano and Elliott were the
Chastain.
guys a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I went with Elliott. I know you're a
Okay. Sorry.
Chastain guy,
I was
but
Chastain. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, you were Chastain. I said Elliott and Logano were the guys. Elliott had it. He didn't. I mean, Logano had it, the 22, and then the tires made the difference. He could have
Right.
played a little more dirtier and won the race. I really think Bell's going to win the title. I think he has a huge chip on his shoulder. He's out to prove something. But these Fords are just so great right now.
Yeah.
Cendric's doing great. I mean, you look at Keselowski, how he was driving. They finally found some speed in that car. He just wrecks everywhere right now. So
Right.
but the Fords, I've been saying they're going to show up, and I didn't realize Ford Penske has all but one driver locked into the chase. That's
Really.
Blaney.
Wow.
Yeah, Blaney's the only one that not locked in. And then the sleeper that nobody's looking at is Chase Elliott. He's P3 in the points. Like you don't think he's doing that well, but he's
Right.
staying consistent.
Right. Right. The Kozlowski thing, I just personally, I think the guy is a really talented driver. Obviously, he is, right? I mean, you can't deny that. But I just think he's on that downward slide, like
He
Kyle
is.
Busch, Jimmy Johnson, where everything seems to blow up. He has a great
Yep.
race, and then in the last 5 laps, he hits a wall, a tire goes out. I mean, it just seems like, or he speeds down pit row, or something nonsensical happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he wanted to buy into Penske. Penske laughed at him. Said, "Sorry, kid, we don't need your
Yeah,
money." So he
yeah,
went over to your Roush Fenway and
yeah.
bought into there. So now it's Roush Fenway, Kozlowski, and I think he's doing that to get for his retirement, to
Sure.
move on. We're starting to see talent changing. People are changing the guard.
Yeah.
Hendrick is not there so much. Gordon's there. They're talking about Austin Dillon taking over Richard Childress's spot. You know,
Okay.
um, you know, you're seeing Denny Hamlin making his move to jump into the owner, area. We're starting to see that move.
Right.
Tony Stewart left the race, left it. NASCAR completely, and now he just won another race in drag racing, and he could be
Oh,
getting another
wow.
title. He
Nice.
could be getting another title, Indy, NASCAR, and drag racing. I don't know if there's another race car driver that's had three different titles and three different
Yeah,
types
I
of
don't know.
racing.
I don't know. I do know that Richard Petty back in the day took a year off and went into drag racing. But I know he didn't win a title because back then drag racing had some monsters. You had
Yeah,
Perdome
yeah,
running at, winning, and I can't remember who his big rival was back then. Man, I like it. I like where you're going with off the rails. Okay,
oh yeah.
real quick, let's talk about F1.
Woo!
Verstappen goes into Italy and gets a win for Red Bull. Is Verstappen a legitimate contender, a threat to the McLaren boys?
I think so, just because he's a champion. They did some upgrade. I'm still learning about all these upgrades and how they're allowed to change
Right.
components on the car, and all of a sudden they get this upgrade. I think F1 tries to keep somewhat competitive race and let them do whatever aerodynamics is happening with other teams. Um, that guy just got big balls of steel, goes into the second turn and just takes the lead and just starts ripping off laps. Oscar thought he could
Right,
catch him, couldn't catch him.
right.
The tire situation. But the big thing, the big story, we knew Verstappen was going to win. We're coming into about a quarter of the way of the race series being done with
Right.
24 races for the whole series. Monaco's this week. The biggest, greatest weekend of racing, Monaco, Indy, and the Coca-Cola 600 all happening all one day.
Yep.
But I think he could start coming. We're gonna see if speed is bled, and if McLaren's going to decide who the number one driver is and just back that person up, because they can't be having the Oscar and Liam back and forth on exchanging points like they're doing right now. They got to
Right.
start letting somebody start getting itching out further and further, or else he's going to be there shortly. 26 points is not a lot. I don't think
It's
so.
not. Well, it is and it isn't. It's still early, like you're
Yeah,
talking about. Now, the problem you have, and you're talking about the driver's title, but McLaren, if they keep both of those cars, which may actually end up being an impediment to winning the driver's title, it makes them wrap up the constructor's title, which is the manufacturer, right? And
right.
I don't know what as crazy as this sounds, I don't know what means more to McLaren, right? When you're talking about marketing or whatever, say, hey, we won constructor's title in F1. I mean, that's pretty damn prestigious, right?
Yeah, I think it's prestigious. I mean, I this weekend I noticed. I texted you. I said, "Hey, look at the podium. One, two, and three.
Right,
Are the drivers." And then they had over here in fourth place. They had a little sign that said constructors, and they had the crew
right,
chief or whoever he is for Sappin sitting there, and he got a
right.
trophy. You know,
Yes,
but
right.
still, the point of view is the highest person is the driver that won, and that's
Correct.
what sells is that driver. It ain't the win on Sunday, sell on Monday thing's huge, but still, I think shopping around your driver and the constructor's title is the main goal. If you can get
Right.
the and, it's great. If you get the or, yeah, you still can sell. You know,
Okay. All right.
but
So,
hey, Hamilton came from P12 all the way to
yeah,
P4. That dude was
yeah,
going, and I think
yeah,
Ferrari finally gave him something he needs.
yeah. He was incredibly happy after the race. He
Yeah.
was. Yeah, I actually saw a smile on his face, which I didn't know he had anymore. It seems like he is the number one driver there, which kind of surprises me because I think there's going to be a split at the end of the year, and I think it's Leclerc who's going to leave Ferrari,
Oh
right? I
yeah,
mean, you
totally,
can only have one guy
totally.
at the top.
Why would you get rid of seven-time champion?
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, let's talk about what you also alluded to, the Indy 500, the greatest race in America that some people say,
Yeah.
including myself. I think it actually is the most exciting race in America, but nobody watches it anymore.
Yeah,
We
Daytona's
we
better.
okay. We can
Hey,
argue that on a subsequent pod. That's fine. Rookie Robert Schwartzman got the pole, first rookie in 42 years. He's for Prima Racing, which I don't know what that is, but okay, let's go with that. The first row, you got Schwartzman, Takuma Sato, who's a two-time winner, Pato Award, and the second row is Scott Dixon, Rosenquist, and Alex Palou, who is your favorite to win the race. What do you think about Indy, Scott?
it's gonna be a great race. They got those cars dialed in there with the draft and everything. I'm still trying to figure out this hybrid thing. Like, there's too much sports to watch. Too
I
much.
know.
There's some kind of hybrid button. I don't know if that's like a turbo boost that gives you a little extra
Well,
battery power. I don't know what that is.
now we're really going to go off the rails here. I
Yeah,
want to say that is where Penske got in a problem a year ago with Newgarden, that somehow he got an extra boost from it. I may be a little off on what's going on. And then Penske said, oh, well, he won the race. Don't worry about it. Everything's good. We internally disciplined him. Yeah, right. It's called
yeah.
cheating. Okay. But you're Roger
Hey,
Penske. You own everything. You dominate Indy. And literally, if Roger Penske left Indy, they literally might as well become a budget car rental place, right? Because
well,
nobody's going to care.
he owns the racetrack and he owns the series.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
what are you going to
you
say to the
got
guy?
problems. You got problems if he leaves.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We've seen this before when it was called Cart.
Yeah. Yeah, we can give it back to Tony George's family. That worked out so good. We have Kyle Larson is in the 21 slot, Castroneves 24, Marco Andretti made the field at 31. Do you have any feelings on who's the guy you like in this race?
I mean, I think it's in the top six that's going to win it. I don't see
Yeah,
anybody coming from the way back, but I mean,
it is a race.
it's such a crapshoot, and who gets in the big wreck and who gets the tire management right, and you know, but they're also like the wings and how they have this downforce and everything. It's like, do you set up to go fast short, or do you set up to go fast long? And that's where you look to the middle of the pack. I don't
Yeah,
know. I like Dixon myself, so I would lean to Dixon just because he seems
sure.
he likes riding on that rear tire and knowing how to adjust the jacker. Apparently, there's new rules where they have a lot of adjustments inside the car now,
Okay,
that they got to dial it in themselves, as opposed to doing it out on the computer floor, in the pits
sure.
where they were able to control it. Now they're actually doing it on the rails, as they're driving, so they have to know how to adjust their car as it's going into the turn, about raising and lowering it and changing the pitches. So that is interesting to me. And then plus this whole battery thing of how they're able to charge it up and then use it down. Like,
Right.
there's a lot going on, and it's going to be a driver's race, due to letting them have so many controls now to control the car.
Well, I
It's
yeah,
interesting.
but I mean, I will say this that, and this is just my opinion. It's not obviously Scott's. It is truly the most exciting race in motorsports because I've watched it probably the last 5 6 years. If you tune in the last 20 laps, you are going to see serious passing. It's
Yeah.
not like it's not like which I'm used to NASCAR. It's well, he's going to draft on him. Oh, he's got clean air and nobody's going to catch him. These two, man, you literally, if you watch this race, when there's 6 laps left, if somebody is in 1 through 4, any of those 4 can win. I'm telling
Well,
you right now, depending on how far back they are, obviously, right?
yeah, and I really think it's that battery boosting thing that they have, that it's just like F1. Like, if you get a certain distance, they allow them to have so much power
Right,
to pass 4 tenths, because they want that pass to happen before they go into the turn and make it, and then they can make it through safely. You don't really see side by side, because these
right,
cars are so aerodynamically reliant, that they can't race side by side like NASCAR. But it makes for great racing, because, like you said, if you come out of the turn and first and second are just barreling down, and they make this big old open air win that
right.
just makes the guy behind just gain 6 tenths, and he can blow by him. That's what's great. And then you're seeing them swerve because they're trying to make that jet stream, mess up the person behind them.
Sure.
That's why you'll see the big old serpent going down, because
Absolutely.
everybody's trying to
Yeah.
stay in that stream. It,
Excellent
it's
point.
it is
Hmm.
it's going to be great racing, and
Well,
the
yeah,
passing is so dramatic.
it is dramatic, and the thing is, you're absolutely right, Scott. Is the difference between them and NASCAR is you really don't do side by side racing because the tires, if they touch, it's a catastrophe, right?
Yeah,
NASCAR, they're able to bump and grind. Ask Kyle Larson, right? I mean, at
yeah,
the end of the day, that's just hey, look, and they're using whatever tools they have. To me, it seems like there is more an emphasis in Indy on driver skill. And I am not saying NASCAR guys aren't skilled. They're using everything at their availability,
yeah,
but the Indy guys aren't able to literally use their car to navigate or to bump. Let's just call
yeah,
it bump,
yeah,
right? I mean
yeah, yeah,
that's taken out of the toolbox.
yeah. The old chrome bumper, yeah, the chrome
Right,
R. You know what I
right,
mean?
right, exactly. Right. I will
Yeah,
say this, it seems like Indy is becoming it's getting closer to F1. It's not going to ever be F1, but man, that they are doing some really amazing innovations there.
they are. They are
You know?
definitely. I mean, yeah, McLaren's in both series. It's
Yeah.
obviously there's something there that they need to carry back and forth on each other.
Well, okay.
You know,
So I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Kyle Larson, does he finish in the top 10?
yes,
Okay. Top 5.
no,
Okay. Okay, he's in a McLaren car. I don't know what
He's in the
Aero
McLaren,
McLaren is,
Chevy.
but yeah, let's
Yeah,
go with that,
I
right?
think he's Chevy. Oh, obviously, he's Chevy powered because that would be a big
Sure.
thing if he was Honda.
Oh my God,
Um,
no. Oh my God.
yeah, yeah,
Oh my
but
God.
yeah, I
Bite
see
your
him in the
lip.
top 10. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I could see him in the top 10. He's wrecked two cars. I don't know if they're gonna allow that third car to be so slipstream. I
All
think he's
right.
going to be more downforce, more stuck in the track, which means he's going to have a slower car, you know, in the turns. And you
Okay.
got to have that. You got to have that. But I could be wrong. But we'll see.
All right.
You
So
know,
there we
I
go, off
really
the rails, right?
I think he was changing the jack system, and that's what caused him to spin out in the last one. Because like I said, there's a lot that has to go on. If you forget to do that one
No
tenth of a
argument.
second, you're
Yep.
already in that turn, and you're going to
Absolutely.
have to try to figure out how to hold on to it, which you can, but you also can't. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like that's why they're
Right.
that's why they're on the edge. And,
Yeah,
and,
they are
and,
literally.
and then Penske got busted. I guess once you get in the top 12 for pole championship, um, you get locked in no matter what. They don't drop you all the way back down like NASCAR does.
Right.
And the 12th went through the pre-testing and got passed, and then the two was going through. It could be the opposite way around. And then they got busted for something in the rear end.
Right.
And
The
then they looked up.
accentuator. An
Yeah,
accentuator. Yes.
yeah. And they
Mhm.
were like, "Oh, that's funny. We didn't realize that had happened." Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wink,
yeah.
wink.
That
We didn't
wink,
know
wink.
about the
That
push button either. Yeah, I know. I
yeah.
know.
We're
Yeah.
gonna put this on so we can get that faster lap. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. All
yeah.
right.
So they're starting 11th and 12th.
It's always great to get a drop in from Scott. Like I said, life is happening. We don't know how often Scott will be here, but he is always welcome. He's an integral founding member of Off the Rails. We need him. I got one more question. Will you be seeing Mission Impossible this week?
No,
Oh my God. You know what?
I got life going on. I
Oh
I got
man.
I got life. You texted me yesterday, and I'm like, I just sat down, and I'm trying to catch up on everything. And I chose the All Star race, and you were watching the first period of the hockey, and I'm like,
Yeah, I
okay,
was.
that
Oh my
that means
God, I was.
I gotta put my phone out. I gotta have my iPad. I'm like, I didn't realize how much work I was gonna have to be doing for this podcast, so I can be ready
I
for you.
know. Now you.
Oh, hey,
Oh, you're the best, Scott.
I
You are the
don't know if
best.
you know this out there, our
Mhm.
subscribers.
Okay.
But we're on Instagram, we're on the TikTok, Off the Rails Sports Podcast, correct, Jay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why are we only putting up stuff of baseball when we're talking about all these great sports?
You know what? Honestly, that falls on me. That I
Yeah,
will. It
yeah,
falls.
yeah,
Falls.
yeah.
It fall. Well, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Brian is kind enough to put it on. I'm actually. I'm dealing with the ancillary things just in terms of we can get into all the technical stuff, and I literally have a hard time turning on my cell phone. So when super producer Stacy goes, "Here's what we need to do to get on Spotify," and I'm like, "Oh my god, my head feels like it's
Ah,
going to explode." But
wow.
it's where we are. I'm getting there. I'm getting
Hey,
there.
you heard
When
it
you
here first.
return,
We're going to
like
Spotify.
MacArthur, who returns pretty soon, Scott will return and be his usual flamboyant self on Off the Rails. We're going to miss you.
Uh,
And
oh,
you got anything final to say here, buddy?
it's the greatest weekend coming. Memorial Day. Thank you to all the people who have served.
Yes.
And
Thank you
lost
for
their
your service.
lives. Thank you
Yep.
for that. It's kind of confusing. Memorial Day is the day of remembrance that we're posted for all the soldiers that lost their lives.
Yes.
So, in memory of all these great soldiers.
Correct.
Um, so I will be pouring an ice cold beer and thanking all these soldiers this
There you
weekend.
go. And then hopefully you're able to enjoy some beautiful motorsports or spend some
Oh yeah,
beautiful time with your beautiful
there,
family.
there will be that. There will be a tri-tip on the grill. Let me guarantee that.
I will
American
be going to
here.
Carl's Jr. and getting a burger. But thank you. We
Long,
all live, we travel in different ecosystems, my
long,
friend.
long as it's red meat, that's all that
That's
matters.
it. Red meat. All right, that's it. Everybody hit like and subscribe. Leave some comments if you got some feelings on who's going to win the different motorsports events this weekend. And we will see you soon on Off the Rails.